Okay, Christian, with the latest in Sevastopol. Thanks very much indeed. Let's speak to Yulia Rusanova, an expert in the economics and politics of Russia and Ukraine. She's with Oxford Analytica, and she joins us from our studio there now. How much of this is grandstanding, and how big a risk is it that this could actually escalate into something much more serious, do you think?
Well, I think as far as potential Russian intervention goes, we need to keep in mind Russia's long-term aims for Ukraine. It needs to see a country that is territorially intact rather than broken and turbulent. And it also needs a government that is representative of the entire Ukrainian population rather than the western parts, as the current one is, and that is not influenced by extremist right-wing forces. Now, with that in mind, the situation is extremely turbulent. It's a bit difficult to make predictions, but I think a more likely scenario is that Russia will continue with the indirect means of support, as it has been doing thus far, and then sit back and let the flames of discontent, popular discontent, flame out, spread out across Crimea, across southeast of Ukraine, as we are seeing today and yesterday, and hope that the population itself will prompt the current government to step down. Now, that said, intervention is by no means excluded. Should violence escalate substantially, should we see risk of civil war in Ukraine, Russia might very well bring in its troops under the pretext of defending the rights of ethnic Russians in the country. But that's a much less desirable scenario for Putin, given that it would incur harsh Western criticism, and given that it would violate one of the key tenets of Russia's foreign policy, which is respect for national sovereignty of a country.
Yeah, a Kremlin spokesman in the last couple of minutes has said that Moscow hopes there will be no further escalation of events in Ukraine. That's just come out in the last few minutes, and also President Putin not deciding yet whether he's going to take up that decision by the Russian parliament to allow troops to be used. When it comes, though, to the West's reaction to this, are we looking potentially at a repeat of what happened in 2008 when Russian forces went into Georgia and the West did very little?
I think so. I mean, the EU has already shown itself to be much more tentative about the Ukraine crisis, with the Germany speaking out in concern of the rights of the Jewish population of Ukraine, the Israel doing the same, and Christine Lagarde recently stating that Ukraine shouldn't be as forthcoming with its demands for billions of dollars of support. So I think indeed that the EU will likely limit itself to rhetoric, as will the US. Obama is in no position right now to get into a military clash with Russia.
All right. OK, Yulia Rusanova, thank you very much indeed joining us there from